This is our recent visit by the new group Law Society of Ghana to incoming Chief Justice ruffles a few feathers. We speak to lawyers to interrogate the issues. Also, former director of the National Lottery Authority is fighting back criticism it gave free money to institutions against the object of the foundation. A lot later, ECG retrieves over 1,000 of its missing containers from earlier this year. We'll get the exclusive details if you stay with us. It's Friday Fun Day. Hello there. Welcome to News Central here on TV3. I am Mawuena Egbeta and the bulletin starts right now. Now, a recent courtesy call by News Association, the Law Society of Ghana, has ignited some conversations about the import of the visit. The Law Society of Ghana argues their call on the CJ was purely to congratulate him on his appointment as Chief Justice and to commend him for his recent reforms. Critics, however, argue the visit has the potential of compromising a writ filed by the society, praying the court to determine whether or not the Ghana Bar Association is the only body that can represent and issue licenses to lawyers in the country. Before we look at the writ and engage the issue a bit further, let's listen to a leader of the group to the CJ's office and the response by the acting Chief Justice and a Justice of the Supreme Court.
The race of the judiciary, we've seen some positives. In the sense that we've noticed how the judiciary is beginning to assert itself and, as it were, showing how independent it can be. And that is what Ghanaians have been craving for. Your sterling leadership is giving hope to Ghanaians. And with the fact that you are also being nominated to continue, we are aware that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
In his first public statement since being nominated, Justice Bafo-Boni pledged to run an open and inclusive administration.
I'm going to run a very open administration. The judiciary, the bench needs the bar. And so we are excited that you have also pledged to support the judiciary and its intendments. And then at the end of the day, it is justice for the people that we all seek after.
However, as concerns could be raised that the Law Society's visit could influence a case currently before the courts, one in which the society is itself a party and challenging the Ghana Bar Association, Supreme Court Judge Justice Kot Puamang stressed that the courtesy call will in no way prejudge proceedings.
There are other matters which have come to our attention. There's a suit that has been filed by some, I think, 3 plaintiffs. That suit is seeking broader issues of interpretation of the Constitution. And I want, because the media is here, to make it clear that the interaction here is in no way intended to prejudice those broader issues that are being raised in that suit. Your visit is within a different context.
Ghana Law Society is also another organization of lawyers that has come up. As a country, we should accept it and support it to grow. Our objectives does not, spell out that we are challenging them. The objective that they have is the same objective that we also have. And the objective is to support the administration of justice in this country, support the judiciary, and support our democracy. That is the same as the Ghana Bar. So we are helping the institutions. I mean, it's a complement. We have well over, I'm sure, 7,000 lawyers. And all 7,000 lawyers, one association cannot administer all of them.
That report by my colleague Noble Crosby, and let's get a bit more in terms of the details of the suit which have been filed in the Supreme Court, where they are seeking, amongst many other things, to have the court make certain declarations about the Ghana Bar Association and what they believe is a certain preferential treatment they are enjoying. Let's walk you through exactly what these reliefs are and what it is that they are seeking to have the court do for them at the Supreme Court, one of which we've been hearing Justice Scott Praman make reference to, that their visit, the purpose for their visit is completely different from the matters before the Supreme Court currently. And so here's what the Law Society of Ghana is praying the Supreme Court do for them. The first, and these are 5 reliefs, but we've just curated a few of them. The first, they want the Apex Court to declare that the constitutional reference to the Ghana Bar Association, because when you go into the 1992 Constitution, the Ghana Bar Association is mentioned quite a lot. There were, they expressly stated a number of times where if you go into the Constitution which governs all of us, this name, the Ghana Bar Association, is mentioned strongly. Now, they want the court to declare that the reference of the Ghana Bar Association in the Constitution must be construed as referring to the umbrella, must not rather be construed as the umbrella of Association of Lawyers in Ghana. And as such, it must not be just the Ghana Bar Association as we have it presently. Also, they want a declaration that the constitutional references to the Ghana Bar Association in several articles of the Constitution and references in the Legal Profession Act 1960, Act 32, cannot be construed to create or imply a monopoly for any one private association of lawyers. In this case, they're referring to the Ghana Bar Association as we know it, whose headquarters is on the Gamal Abdul Nasser Avenue as well. Now, a bit more in terms of what they are seeking, a declaration that the name Ghana Bar Association in the Constitution and Legal Profession Act must be construed as a generic or umbrella designation for association of lawyers in the country. Then again, a declaration that any conferment of constitutional powers, rights, roles, or privileges on the current Ghana Bar Association will vest exclusive recognition of it, which forecloses rival associations of lawyers from equal recognition and participation in public constitutional space, and that recognitions and conferment of powers, rights, and privileges are inconsistent. So simply they're making the argument that, look, the conferment, if it is maintained to mean the present Ghana Bar Association as we have it, then it will be a disservice to other groupings of lawyers who've come up, which the Law Society of Ghana is seeking to do. And we heard one of their leaders as well speak to the fact that they are seeking to, amongst many other things, advocate for the same thing as the Ghana Bar Association is doing, only to suggest that over 7,000 lawyers, the GBA cannot seek to serve all of those 7,000 plus lawyers. Hence, other associations also have to come up. Then there's a conversation about licensing and the renewal of licensing as well. But let's get onto the phone lines right now. Christian Malmhesse is a private legal practitioner. Let's make his thoughts as to whether or not really there are genuine concerns that this visit can begin to raise a few eyebrows as to that matter. Bits and pieces we've gone through pending before the Supreme Court. Counsel, I appreciate you speaking to us. Is there a legitimacy really in terms of the concerns that are being raised that this visit raises a bit of an eyebrow in terms of the push currently ongoing at the Supreme Court?
Yeah, good afternoon and good afternoon to your viewers. Indeed, it's interesting times we find ourselves in. This is not new. We've had the learned TN Wadru mount similar action in the past. Indeed, every association has its own internal problems. And at all times, the front must be maintained. I also, understand where the society is coming from. That given the fact that certain internal matters had laterally stayed longer and have not been resolved, there should be plurality in terms of associations and for members of the bar to choose which bar association they would want to join. Indeed, the Constitution also enjoins that there is right to association, and that also, if we look at the use of the word Ghana Bar Association in the Constitution, other members also suggest that the purposive interpretation, which if the court confirms as that, would break the front. So at this juncture, there is division in terms of plurality of the mind as far as these areas are concerned, whether the society should be given the nod. And indeed, in the case of Wadru versus the Ghana Bar Association, the court indicated that the General Legal Council is the body that regulates the professional body and training of lawyers and all of that. So indeed, if anything, licensing should come from the GLC to the society. But I believe they will deal with that. The most important thing now is the hurdle before the Supreme Court and seeking purposive interpretation. And if they are so successful with that purposive interpretation, it would mean that when they say Ghana Bar Association, it represents the umbrella unit of Association of Lawyers.
Right, but even as you mentioned that legal hurdle, there are those who have said that there could be a challenge because the Chief Justice will empanel judges to sit on the case, but quite clearly this scenario has been decided by the court already. There are those who are of that belief that yes, the case is in court, but it's looking the more like this visit, and even though we're hearing comments from Justice Scott Poaman saying that the visit is different from what's before the court, there could be a determination which could go against the Ghana Bar Association.
Yes, indeed. One would say that the acting Chief Justice acted in his capacity as the acting Chief Justice, exercising the administrative function in receiving service from all walks of life. But one would also caution to say that in that administrative duty, once this suit has been filed at the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, even though acting in that administrative role, would empanel members of the bench to see to the disposal of that particular case. And to that extent, the CJ could have deferred hosting them. To either of the points, one could uphold the rightness of it. But we cannot also overstretch it to say that the acting Chief Justice has acted unethical in that particular situation, because it will be stretching the legal point of that. Because when we enter into that, then we will say that in situations to disqualify judges sitting on cases, we file motions or we make arguments of likelihood of bias or where they have conflicted themselves. And that is why Justice Poaman came in to put that caveat there. So to take anything that could be likened to likelihood of bias or any prejudice.
Right. Just finally on the matters and not wanting to in any way at all prejudice the case or seek to begin to interpret by ourselves or clothe ourselves with the powers to interpret, is there really a concern, if anybody says that the GBA asset is, should be decentralized or we should have multiple law associations. Is there really a concern there which should require that, oh, the GBA might lose its powers, or any other concern really?
I mean, it is a personal opinion, and in my personal opinion, I believe that the GBA serves the interest of all lawyers across the country because it is decentralized. We have there are council heads for all 16 regions, so that whatever concerns of any local region, you could always go to that particular secretariat and have redresses and all of that. But definitely, when council meets and there is a general assembly, it is a collective decision that is taken, and definitely the collective might never satisfy the minority, and that would cause some misgivings and for persons to seek to have alternative societies. And in that direction, the Constitution also allows for members to have the freedom or the right to join any association at will. And to that extent, we would await the decision of the Supreme Court in this particular matter, since we cannot put the past before the court, and the Supreme Court will not be happy for it to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Counsel, as always, I appreciate you joining us. That's Christian Hesse speaking to us this afternoon on the latest that we have. But let's get on to the other phone lines right now. Victor Kojoga Daudu is a member of the Law Society of Ghana, was part of the delegation of lawyers who paid a courtesy call on the acting Chief Justice upon his nomination by the President to serve in that capacity fully. Counsel, I appreciate you speaking to us as well. Would you say that with the benefit of hindsight, you could have stayed that meeting with the acting Chief Justice, considering the conversations now about prejudice, amongst many other things?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners. I'm a founding member of the Ghana Law Society. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you, Counsel.
Yes, I'm a founding member. And the visit to go and congratulate the acting and nominated Chief Justice was to go and congratulate him. And that had been scheduled. The letter that went had even predated when he was nominated. Predates when the suit or anything had been filed. So we were to go and congratulate him. In course of going, that it has been scheduled that we were to meet yesterday, then a suit was also filed. That has nothing to do with us going to congratulate him. In the first place, is the Ghana Law Society not a registered association? It's been registered under the laws. It's been registered as a professional body. So if a professional body says that I'm coming to congratulate the head of the judiciary, who is the administrative head also, I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. That's why Justice Palmer has made it clear that, yes, we are there to congratulate them, and there was nothing that was said that we want this, and that case that has been filed for which to interpret the Constitution was what we were coming to discuss. He made it distinctly clear. So if people are saying that because that case is there and the Chief Justice, the duty has been imposed on him to empanel the court to hear that decision, because we have met him in his administrative capacity as head, will have influence or be prejudiced. I think that you are stretching the matter. And what we did, is it not backed by the law?
But Counsel, there are those who say, I mean, you're the legal experts, that when there's a conflict of interest, it has to be cured. You think that statement by Justice Scott Pwaman cures whatever concern of a conflict may have arisen as a result of your visit, considering that you yourself have alluded to the fact that the acting CJ will have to empanel the justices to hear the application you've put before them?
But if No. Even if it is a case against the Chief Justice, the law says that he has to empanel. No, that is what the duty imposed on him. Now, are you saying that as administrative head, he cannot meet a professional body? Is that what we are saying? That because he empanels and anything that has to be done with administration and you have such issues, he cannot act. And this meeting had been scheduled. It was scheduled way back, even before this suit came in. So nothing, there was no discussion. We should not allow others to bring a hypothetical situation that we don't even know the people who will be empaneled. We don't know. It is a duty imposed on him to do. Is it going to be part of the case or he's not even going to be part of it? This hypothetical situation does not exist. And we should not make a fetish of this. It's an association that went and says that we've come to congratulate you. And we believe that you'll be aware that we have this association. It's a professional body.
Right.
It's been registered under the law, and we have the certificate, which was shown that this is the certificate that we are registered. So it was a legitimate thing, not that a group of people just went in there to speak to the acting Chief Justice that this is an issue we have brought, and whilst doing it, the issue should be looked at. That will raise the likelihood of bias. So this is the point that had been made. If the society had raised issues as to what they want, the interpretation of the Constitution, before them, then that is when you can be saying that there must be a likelihood of bias.
Right. All right. I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Victor Kojoga Dawood, who is one of the founding members of the Law Society of Ghana, speaking to us this afternoon on this subject matter. We'll move away from it because the National Lotteries Authority is fast under scrutiny following investigations revealing millions of Ghana cedis donated to well-to-do individuals and organizations instead of the poor. In 2021, the NLA, under the leadership of Samuel Uku, its then Director General, set up what it calls the Good Causes Foundation. But according to latest investigations by the Fourth Estate, the funds meant for the poor and orphans allegedly was blown on awards, galas, and the rich. Before we get into it and speak to the Associate Editor of the Fourth Estate, Seth Bokpe, let's run by you some of the details on why the Caritas unit was set up and some of the organizations that benefited from the funds. And we're going to go back to our dashboard really quickly as to what it is that we have in there. And so it was established in 2021. It's named the Good Causes Foundation, rebranding NLA Special Projects Department, and it's backed by Act 722 of 2006. The foundation's mandate covers health, education, youth and sports development, and then arts and culture. But let's get into the expenditures as we saw it that came through from there, just briefly in terms of what we can expect. Right, we don't seem to have the expenditures just as yet. Let's speak to Seth Bokpe right now and get a bit more in terms of what exactly it is the concerns are from there. Seth Bokpe is joining us this time on Zoom, so we can get a bit more in terms from him on this. Mr. Bokpe, thank you very much for speaking to us this afternoon. Walk us through a bit more in terms of the revelations and how concerning these findings are.
Very much, Eric, for having me. So, at 722, which established the NLA, recognized the need to use lottery money, part of the lottery money we get, to support the vulnerable. Specifically, Section 2.3 of the Act says that there shall be a lottery which proceeds shall be used for supporting the aged, the orphans, the destitute children, and mentally afflicted. Recognizing this, when Mr. Ewuku came to office, on June 8, 2022, they registered the Good Causes Foundation, which means that it has become a separate entity from the NLA. Now, what we notice is that funds that they raised through the Caritas Lottery platform, the Caritas Lottery platform was designated as the main source of funding for the Good Causes Foundation. But we notice that the disbursement does not really conform with what the law says.
Which is providing for the poor and the needy.
For instance, say that again.
I'm asking which was providing for the poor and needy, destitute, mentally challenged, amongst others.
Exactly. If you look at the data we've put out so far, the disbursement does not in any way support what the objects of the law said, and even the registration details. If I'm permitted to read the registration details, they said that they will provide support and relief to the marginalized in society, the vulnerable, people with disabilities, orphans, widows, the elderly, and impoverished communities. Now, when you look at what they have done so far, for instance, 350,000 cedis to the Chief Executive Network for the CEO's Summit and Awards. How is that beneficial to the destitute, the poor, the mentally afflicted?
Right.
If you look at the 50,000 they pumped into the free SHS 5th anniversary celebration, I mean, at the time, even school kids in our senior high schools were struggling to get food. If you look at the 50,000 cedis they gave to Damu Ramadan MP for Adenta to buy a motorbike.
Right. So
the Adenta member, how does that inure to the benefit of the poor orphan in the Osu orphanage?
There's a counter argument. There's a counter argument that's coming from the former Director General of the NLA, amongst many other things, where he's detailing the law which establishes them and saying that amongst many other things they could have supported arts and culture. Reason why we're seeing some of the monies going into other areas, and that in certain instances when the money was above 100,000, then it was granted at the express permission of the board of the NLA.
That sounds like shifting blame, really, because the law is explicit. It said there shall be conducted as part of the operations of the National Lottery Authority a lottery with the object of providing care and protection for the physically or mentally afflicted, the needy, the aged, orphans, and destitute children. Where in the law does it say that the board has the discretion to sponsor Paris, cry in Paris? Where in the law does it state that the NLA can sponsor the Ministry of Public Enterprises to go on a steady tour of Singapore, where there's no justification for any of that expenditure? Secondly, he speaks about raising 11 million cedis from the Caritas platform, and that he used only 5% of those funds to do what we call what we are questioning, the questionable enterprises. But guess what, Egbeta? He is being economic with the truth. Here's the reason. He spent 2 million cedis from these funds to provide astroturf in his constituency. He spent 130,000 to support the construction of police posts in his constituency. Both together, that's about a little over 2.1 million cedis, right? That alone is about 19.2% of the Caritas money. in only his constituency.
In only,
So
what would be your
telling us the truth.
expectation of investigative bodies now that these facts have come up? There are those who are saying it should not just end here. Is there a petition, CID, an agency where you're asking them to look into these revelations that you've brought forward?
We have not petitioned anyone yet because this is just a tip of the iceberg. The real stories will begin to flow next week. Very soon. The bigger story, the bigger picture about the NLA during his tenure and during his predecessor's tenure will begin to flow next week.
We've
not petitioned anyone at the moment.
Right.
If they decide to be proactive and take it on, that's fine.
Right. We look, Mr. Bokwe, we look forward to the real matters and a bit more from there. But I appreciate you speaking to us. He's a deputy editor at the Fourth Estate, speaking to us, and we have tried to as well get a response from Samuel, who is a former Director General of the National Lotteries Authority, as to exactly what he makes of these allegations and if there can be a direct response. Unfortunately, we've been unable to get that for you just as yet, but that's the situation as we have it, and the Fourth Estate says there's a lot more expected, and we'll look forward to it. But that's it for us right now as we go for our very first break here on the Bulletin. When we return, we have a bit more for you here on News Central. Please stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paints because with this small paints, I paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
DSTV means choosing.
Amazing acting.
Best friending while streaming.
Front row at the gaming and super fanning while on the going. Winning, binging and blockbustering. While others are white ricing, you're jolloffing.
This looks so good.
With something for everyone. Anything is possible when you're DSTVing. Start today with all sorts of packages to match your...
Impressor oil na capsules kura ahoɔden nnuro a ɛboa eyi yawa a ɛnam sasabro usisi wachiri bremo ne afei waposo nyinaa firi nipadua no mu. Impressor capsules kura ahoɔden a etumi boa esiesie nompa a ɛho akokwa nea ntokuntokuro deda mu ɛne afei waposo gregra awewie no nyinaa esiesie no ɛma no ahoɔden foforo kura wopɛ aduro a wobetumi de wo ho atoso na ayi wo honam yaw nyinaa de a ɛne impressor ne aduro a wɔn a ɔwɔ yafunuade mpo etumi no mbie onom impressor capsules now the impressor oil twitwi bia ɛyɛ wo ya no a ɛne ne wato adi yaw bedwane entem so kra impressor yaw bedwane FDA agye adwade nkrato yi ato.
This weekend at the Ghana Premier League.
Hatterville versus 11 Wonders FC. And Nations FC versus FC Celotex 1966.
and you're back here on News Central. Let's bring you a bit more stories this afternoon, where in response to rising fatalities at the Madina Zongo Junction here in the capital Accra, local authorities have announced plans to deploy personnel from the Ghana Armed Forces to ensure pedestrian safety measures at the busy intersection. According to statistics from the Lankwantanan Madina Municipal Assembly, 58 pedestrian deaths have been recorded at the junction over the past 7 years, largely due to people ignoring the footbridge and attempting to cross the multi-lane highway directly. The Lankwantanan Madina Municipal Assembly is considering structural modifications to the footbridges, which many pedestrians say are not motivational enough to use. George Quinn is there, where we're expected, that enforcement is expected to start. And we'll connect with him right now and get an understanding. Military personnel to enforce the use of footbridges. Let's find out from George if that's already begun. George, are we seeing military personnel already at Madina seeking to enforce this directive?
Thank you, Mawuena. Very good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I'm coming to you live from Madina Zongo Junction. And we're here to assess compliance levels here. And it's like what it is. It's just an old story. Pedestrians are still crossing, putting their life in danger. So my cameraman is trying to give you a visual of these pedestrians. And for the military personnel, they'll be here September 30, that's Tuesday. And it's going to be piloted for 3 months. And according to the Assembly, the use of community policemen does not really enforce whatever they anticipate. So with the presence of the military, would actually deter these pedestrians from actually using the main road. So look at this very woman, for instance, trying to cross, putting her life in danger. For me, what life? I thought we took footbridge, you know. And now, yeah, but she be a so look at her. So she's actually putting her convenience before her safety. So she's complaining that she has, deep problems, so she cannot use the footbridge because, as they always say, it's just the architectural structure makes it very motivational. They cannot use it. So that's why they actually say that they can't use the footbridge. But there are lots of them here trying to just make their life for their convenience. But until things change here, I think the deaths that have been pegged at 58 within 7 years would decrease, Marina.
George, just quickly on the lives that have been lost as well. We understand, is it 58 lives have been lost as a result of these sorts of crossings? Walk us through the numbers and the statistics as well.
So 58 deaths have been recorded here so far within 7 years. So what the Assembly is saying that if things don't change, if pedestrians still continue to use the main road instead of the footbridge, the numbers will go high. So hopefully the presence of these military from next week will deter them from using the footbridge. So look at these young girls, for instance, your life on TV3, and you are risking your life for your convenience. Why would you use the footbridge? Let's talk to your life. That's next time. No, anything can happen. You know that. So you stop using it. But tell me, why do you want to go? It's very long. So if they work it, so Mawuena, they are saying that if the Assembly alters this very footbridge, they will surely use it because the game is very long. It likes too much exercise for them. So if the Assembly alters it, maybe they'll use it, so it will motivate them to use it. So Mawuena, so 50 years there, within 7 years there.
Quickly on the MC, because you've been interacting with her, what's she been telling you?
So Phyla Ibrahim is the MC for Lankwantanan Madina Assembly, and he says most of the crashes that occur here is as a result of pedestrian negligence. So they are the ones that are causing these very crashes, and not really. We should not blame it largely on the driver. So let's listen to Phyla.
Yeah, thank you. With the issue of Zongo Junction, in order to it is either you stop it or you minimize it. Accidents is part of our social life, but we should make sure that we don't cause the negative on the human being. That is by car knocking somebody on the road. Sometimes it is the negligence of the pedestrians. We also don't want to listen to the right authorities. That is why we have such challenges. But I believe when this method that we are bringing in place comes to stay, it will help our own selves, our own pedestrians, to understand that no, my crossing on the median of the road is a problem or a calamity to my own nature. But if I'm able to use the bridge, it is for my own good and my own safety. So that is what we are trying to ensure. Collaborating with other institutions is a must. For as an assembly, you are an entity on your own, but you work hand in hand with other institutions. You are, let me say, a lower level or miniature of a parliamentary proceedings. So you see the way Parliament sometimes invite other institutions. The same thing, we can also invite others to join us and then make sure we deliver the best for the people of Madina. And that is what we are yearning to give to the people of Madina, so that a legacy will be set as a blueprint that whoever comes in next time will also make sure he either work to live apart with you or he crosses you, but not to come and do less of what you have done. So I always said, even from my upbringing,
as the MC for the area speaking to us, George Quinn, thank you as well for the updates from there. But let's bring you a bit more stories right now, because the Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Clement Apag, has urged colleges of education across the country to ensure that students are properly trained to be able to teach in disadvantaged communities within the country. He noted that the mass failure of teachers in the licensure exam raises questions about the quality of teachers being churned out by the respective colleges. Dr. Apag made these observations when he addressed teachers and students at the St. Vincent's College of Education at Yendi. And we'll stay a little longer on the subject because Christopher Marco is my colleague who monitored that for us. Let's connect with him right now in terms of what the minister has been saying. Let's connect right now with Christopher Marco. Chris, you were present. Walk us through the concern by the minister and, if possible, what the response is from the Yendi area, what they are seeking to do to improve the quality from their school as well.
Yes, so the Deputy Minister was responding to some concerns of infrastructural deficits by the principal of the St. Vincent College of Education in Yendi. And as part of his response, he indicated that he's much concerned, especially Ghanaians are much concerned about the mass failure of teachers who go out there to write the teacher licensure exams. And he's saying that it's become a topmost issue of concern to Ghanaians because of the caliber of teachers who will be teaching the future generation of this country, and that it's about time that a discussion on that is held. He also talked about the fact that the ministry has constituted a committee to look into that, to ensure that right from the school level, these teachers write the licensure exam so that when they come out there, they know that they are good product quality that are coming out to also impact knowledge onto the children that they are going to teach. He says that once education is the bedrock of every nation, it is important and imperative for the leaders of tomorrow to be given the requisite teaching by the teachers who will be going into the communities to teach. He also expressed concerns over teachers not wanting to go into the interior communities to teach and appeal to them that they should be able to accept postings into hinterlands where their services are much needed. Let's take a listen to what the Deputy Education Minister, Dr. Clement Apag, has been saying.
The National Teaching Council has recorded from the teacher licensure exam the abysmal performance of some teachers raises questions about how people are selected to enter the colleges of education and what the colleges do to ensure that those they train graduate to meet the minimum performance benchmarks. It is in addressing these challenges that the ministry set up the Kwame Alovi Committee to review the mode of licensing teachers to ensure that colleges play a direct role in the professional licensing process and assure that only capable trained teachers are graduated from our colleges.
Briefly on the infrastructural challenges from the respective schools. Talk to us about that and then the concern from the colleges there as well.
Yes, so we all know that most of the colleges of education have been battling infrastructure issues over the years. There are some of the schools, actually, the St. Vincent College of Education, since 2016, some of the Get Farm projects that were started, some projects that the school started on its own using its IGF, most of them are yet to be completed. And so we talk about inadequate lecture halls, dormitory facilities, you talk about spaces for conducive teaching and learning is not available. And so the school has been making appeals to the Education Ministry and government to ensure that they intervene. Let's take a listen to the principal of the Yendi St. Vincent College of Education.
Chris, we'll hear from him subsequently, but I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Christopher Marquez, my colleague in the northern and Savannah regions for us, amongst many other things, providing details there. We'll move away from this and bring you matters relating to the Electricity Company of Ghana, because its acting MD, Mr. Kpekpena, says that they've managed to recover at least 1,000 of the missing containers. Julius Kpekpena, that they've revealed that the company has successfully retrieved over 1,000 containers that went missing earlier this year. He's been briefing members of Parliament's Committee on Mines and Energy. We can take a listen to exactly what he's been saying.
We restored reliability in our power supply. We put measures to curb excesses in procurement, and we're working with the support of the board, the ministry, and the presidency to deliver sustainable power to the people of Ghana. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me repeat that. So the current end user tariff, we see a distortion. The distribution service charge, in other words, the component of the tariff that ECG comes to ECG, is only right now 12%. And it should be around 40%. So the tariff is heavily distorted against distribution. And we are appealing to the PURC to correct that distortion. So the distribution service charge can go up without necessarily increasing the end user tariff.
So Engineer Julius Kpekpena is acting MD of the Electricity Company of Ghana. It will take us on to our second break. When we return, a bit more stories, then we take the show home. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the second edition of the West African Agri Show and Annual Livestock Day Ghana 2025 has taken place in Accra. The event is to promote sustainable agriculture and thriving agribusiness through research, technology, effective extension, and farmer support services.
Partnership with the West Africa Agri Show reflects a shared commitment to driving food security, innovation, and economic growth while creating opportunities for farmers, processors, traders, and investors across the country. Speaking at the annual event, the president of the Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers, Imam Hanafi Sonde, advocated for the development and welfare of cattle farmers in Ghana.
It is a time for the Ghana livestock industry revolution. When I say revolution, we need to come together, policymakers, academia, the government itself, the Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers, and all stakeholders to change the face of the livestock industry by gradual adoption of intensive and semi-intensive system. So it is more easier for the woman to go into animal husbandry, more easier for the youth to go into animal husbandry.
The acting director of Animal Production Directorate at the MOFA, Jonas Asari Berchi, emphasized the need for stronger collaboration among all livestock stakeholders. He also highlighted the livestock sector's significant contribution to Ghana's GDP.
Livestock plays a very important role in the lives of almost everybody in the country. Livestock provides employment. So we want the country to acknowledge the important role livestock plays in this country, in the economy. And there are a lot of innovations, technologies that we are learning or collaborating with the Indian people so that it will help the livestock economy to improve.
The founder and CEO of Azalex Business Media, Alkalma Arif, described Ghana as a peaceful country and emphasized their readiness to invest in and support the development of the livestock and agribusiness sectors. Some vendors at the annual event called for increased support from the government and other stakeholders.
Now, international relations analyst Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso has rejected a suggestion Ghana raise sanctions from the U.S. following the president's speech at the General Assembly. President Mahama yesterday questioned the U.S. decision to not grant visa to the Palestinian government and its people.
That there is going to be any repercussion. He's going to be locked by Trump. He was what? He contradicted Trump. Trump says that if you recognize Palestine, then you are giving whatever it is to the Hamas. The president said no. He didn't mention Trump's name, but he was alluding to it.
Yeah, it was very clear.
No, rather you are creating a situation where we live as good neighbors. And he's calling on the world to recognize this. So repercussions like what? America closing their embassy here, good riddance. America not giving us visas, good riddance. Without America, Ghana will not die. When South Africa openly took Israel to court, America tried all kinds of tricks. South Africa is still a bouncing country. And there are several other countries. See, in diplomacy, when you lose something, there's no way you will lose something and not gain something. It's like digging a hole. Once you are digging a hole, you are creating a mound. If America moves away from Ghana today, there will be no vacuum.
That's Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso ending today's edition of the news and for the week as well here on News Central. We're back again on Monday with another exciting edition. Always stay tuned in. There's News 360 at 7 p.m. and then Ghana Tonight at 10 p.m. a lot later in the day. I am Mawuena Egbeta. Many thanks for watching.